Hello, hola. This is Kaoru Okumura, originally from Japan and now living in near Seattle area in the northwest of the United States. I am so happy to be a part of the Vibratil Body Festival tonight. And let me talk about a little bit about myself and the piece. Well, I first studied Butoh in Tokyo in Asbestos Theater. This was the theater that Tatsumi Hijikata, one of the Butoh founder, founded. But when I visited Asbestos Theater, he has been already gone. He has been passed away. And his wife, Akiko Motofuji, was teaching there with Ono Yoshito or Ono Kazuo sensei. So that was my first training of Butoh in Tokyo. But after the first performance, I noticed that I got severely injured and I couldn't continue Butoh at all. And I just continued working as a computer engineer for many years. But I came here in the US and in my late 40s, I found the Butoh again and started the activities in this area. So that is a very short introduction of my Butoh history. And about the piece, I show several footage and the festival organizer choose this one. Orasho, the Prayers of Nagasaki. Maybe Nagasaki is not so popular as Hiroshima. So Hiroshima is the first place that got atomic bomb and Nagasaki is the second one. My hometown is near from Nagasaki, so I have a kind of compassion with Nagasaki a lot. They have really sad story, history of hidden Christian. For 250 years, the Edo period, Christianity was forbidden in Japan. But there were several people who hide and trying to keep their faith. Now, Orasho means their prayer. From oratio in Latin. But they are so isolated. So they are trying to keep tradition. But please hear, this is a rare sound that some people, only a few people now still hear a kind of this stream. And this is Orasho, and I was so shocked when I first hear this. They were chanting Gregorian chant or song, but after 250 years, they cannot keep the same one. They changed and changed. And now, I think you feel this is very Japanese style, almost like a Buddhist. So, I ask singers in the Seattle area to sing this song. You are going to hear this in the middle piece of the middle part of the piece. And also, this image shows that Mary, but also so transformed. So we often call this as Mary Kannon. Almost looks like Kannon Buddhist figure. So there are many prosecution and so on happens in Nagasaki. And again, they also caused the Nagasaki atomic bomb as the fifth tragedy of Nagasaki after 4 big prosecution. And this is the name of the bomb, Mark III Fat Man. Kawano Yukio, the artist in Oregon, created the actual size of the Fat Man that you are going to see as a huge object on stage. So this is the second image that I carry on the stage. And the third one is in Fukushima. So after 2011, we cannot forget about Fukushima nuclear disaster. The stage starts with the memory or lament of the Fukushima. The song there is for "We mourn those buried by water and earth." And I thought about the nuclear core. Human made it. So they are the child of human. And I wonder what the nuclear core feels, thinks. So they know what I felt was they know they have to vanish for humans' happiness, humans' welfare. They are trying to vanish by themselves. But sometimes the flare of nuclear comes up. They're trying to extinguish, but still the flare comes up and the water is falling down. That is the image carry in my the very beginning of the scene. Now, I'd like to introduce Kawano Yukio, an artist who created the huge object on stage. Welcome, Yukio-san. Hi. And let me introduce her a little bit more. She is now living in Oregon, United States, but originally from Hiroshima, Japan. And many people know Hiroshima, but Nagasaki may not so well known. So I'd like to put the focus on Nagasaki and contacted to Kawano-san on that. So do you remember and what did you feel about that?
Well, I remember clearly, like we were at the time we were started to talk more about this nuclear issue, and because Japan suffered by Fukushima in 2011,
Yes, exactly. That's right. I remember that.
you were actually talking about Fukushima a lot for this piece.
Mm-hmm.
and and also there is a connection to Nagasaki bomb uh, with actually our region because
Yes.
of
Mm-hmm.
Hanford, Washington.
That's right. Just for your information for a listener, Hanford is a place in eastern Washington. It's the same states that I am living, and that is the plant. They made the plutonium, right, for Nagasaki bomb, and they are still experiencing the hazard or left over from that plant. Even now, they are leaking. Yes, I remember. Now I remember the situation. So the piece started from a kind of memory of Fukushima, then this brought to another disaster, Nagasaki, that has a history of hidden Christian as well as atomic bomb. So that was the story in Orasho. So now, could you please explain about the object, the huge object on the stage?
Yes, so that was the second kimono bomb that I made out of my grandmother's kimono fabric. She was a kimono maker during the war and after the war, and so I I had I was able to access to a lot of fabric that was stored in her old uh, storage house, which called kura in
Mhm,
Japanese. And so I was getting this fabric and and I see my grandmother's hand stitch. Kimono is made by hand stitch, woman's hand stitches. So I was like tearing the stitch apart, and it's a kind of brutal act. Kind of
mhm,
there is a brutality in
mhm,
you know tearing the piece apart, and then there is this condition uh, that I made that is safe place for me to
mhm,
talk about the atrocity, the history
mhm,
of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So I used that momentum to bring the object into the shape of Batman.
mhm,
And also, it actually started from started when I made the first piece, which is little boy, the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Uh, that I started stitching my hair to the fabric. The reason
mhm.
is because at that time my hair was really long, and I was going through school and thinking about the different material to express my art
Mhm,
making,
mhm,
like express my creation, uh, express my humanity,
mhm,
and one of the things that I was kind of noticing around that
yeah.
time is that uh, well, so my hair was long, so I was like
Mhm,
brushing my hair and
mhm.
washing my hair. I always feel this um almost agony, like like uh strong reaction to it.
Oh, okay.
And I was like wasn't really thinking, but then something triggered me and
Mhm,
remembering like, oh, maybe it's something to do with me, myself, watching the footage of women who suffered radiation after the war, after the bomb, and losing their hair. So it's like, uh, you know,
oh, yes. Mhm,
fear
mhm.
of like
Yeah,
long Japanese black hair coming off
I
of,
see. Right.
woman's head. And
Mhm.
yeah, so there is a link to it. There is a history to
Uh-huh.
my strong reaction. So
Yes.
that that's the moment that I decided that do with I need to do something with this particular material.
I see. Great. And I heard about your DNA or something also related to your hair in the piece.
Hmm. Yeah, so uh, that was the negotiation or the dialogue that I was making with my piece, that I myself is might be affected, probably affected by the radiation because of my grandfather uh, being near the detonation center on
Oh,
August
yes.
16, 1945. So it was kind of miracle that he survived, because he was only 800 meters away from the
Oh,
detonation center.
epicenter, exactly.
Mhm. So it was pretty amazing that he survived. And 2 years after that, he had a mother, and my um she so my childhood, and she was pretty weak. Always I remember her being not very healthy woman. And so my childhood is waking up every day and kind of checking with my mother if she's feeling okay every morning.
Oh, I
So
see.
um, yeah, so that makes me a third generation Hibakusha, and knowing what radiation do to DNA, um, it's my statement to use
Okay.
my hair to my uh, use my hair for my piece. So going back to making making of a little boy, I said, okay, I need to do with I need to use my hair, and I was just trying to stitch my use my hair and put the hair. I mean uh, with the needle, I stitch my hair into the silk fabric, and noticing that it's pretty manageable to do it. So
Wow.
yeah, after the after doing practicing on the tamono, the piece of fabric, um, I decided to construct the actual bomb using the hair as as a thread, put the piece together. So that's what the second bomb, the Batman on the stage, is made out of. So
Ah, good, good. So, yes, and also I was really impressed that you made the exact size of the fat man as well as little boy. So this gave me a kind of really strong impression to see the real size bomb on the stage. For me, it seems too small comparing to the impact what this gave. At the same time, it is so big. And I do not have a word to express this one. But that kind of object has so powerful to me. So do you have any other feeling or comment from the stage of the orasho or the piece?
I think the scale is very important in the visual art world, and also for the contemporary artist, we were seeing all these, uh, you know, the issues and human problems, climate change, which is like enormous scale that the human you know human as a human scale, it's hard to comprehend.
Mm,
So one of the thing that, as a visual artist, one of the thing that I do is bring the history, bring the issue, bring the legal issue back to human scale.
mm,
The Hiroshima and Nagasaki experience back to back to human scale, because it was for Hiroshima and Nagasaki, uh, the survivors. It was their body which was suffered and which was, burned and shredded. So it always needs to be, um, the the story needs to come from human scale. That
Yes,
way we
right,
can
right.
actually understand the atrocity. So
Mm,
um, that was my intention.
mm,
And for Orasho, that was the strong feelings too. Now we, um, had Fukushima
mm,
Daiichi nuclear uh, plant
mm.
explosion happened, and the issue was so massive
Yes, right.
and so confusing as well. So it's like, how do we bring it back to human scale to to feel, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the 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 fear.
That's right. So feel more and more realistically is one theme. And just let me just mention the piece was created in 2017 again. And in the scene, I was going to go under the big object. And at the moment, it was stunning, almost goosebump comes up, and yes, just under the big bomb, it was, it makes totally different space. And after that there was a scene that Yukio-san and I move around the bomb, like circling this one. And I feel this is our player for the memories.
Mhm. Yeah, so when you went under the bomb, I mean, I guess I should talk about Butoh concept as well, but there is this, the challenge of how, or um, like trying to see our limitation of uh, the vulnerability
Mm,
of human and a body. And I think when you went under the bomb, the metaphor, it's just the scene, you your body being at the bottom of the bomb. There is the immediacy of the the vulnerability of the body was witnessed by everyone. So that
mhm,
I think that was the power. And of course it was, the you as a dancer have to feel that as well. And I was like, the the fear, or the vulnerability that you are feeling under the bomb was sort of, um it wasn't hidden at the time. Like when you went under, somehow your inner feeling of feeling vulnerability
mm.
was in a almost in a air, so everybody can kind of
Yes.
see at the same time. Yeah, that was pretty powerful.
Great, great. Mm. Okay, thank you very much, Yukio-san. Yes, this is severe, tough period for us all. We are all connected, even though we need to be isolated at home for a long, long period. The ocean is connected. Also, the existence through Butoh or art or dance should be connected, even via virtual. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.